Okay, I gotta show you one other thing because it's driving me nuts. These gizmos that we've been using, I don't necessarily like them, and I never leave them on because I want to select this gizmo and I might want to snap here, for example, but move along the x-axis. So I don't want to have to pick on this x-axis. I want to be able to pick here and move along the x-axis. But as you can see, that's not working. So that's what I don't like about the gizmos. So there is a different option. If you right click here, go to Axis Constraints. Oh, those buttons aren't showing up right. I don't know whether, but this is X, Y, and Z. So that will lock it into the x-axis. So even if I want to move that one and then I lock it, it's only moving along the x-axis, just like that. So if I wanted to snap here and move it to there, just like that, I can do that. This one is the Y. See? So you don't have to use the gizmo. I mean, my gizmo can be completely turned off. That's the Y. And this is the Z. You can see the Z is highlighted. And then you can drop down this one and it'll give you X and Y, Y and Z, or Z and X. I'm not sure why these buttons aren't showing up. But regardless, I have those set up as hotkeys, and probably on your machine these are working just fine. But my hotkeys for that are F5, F6, F7, and F8. F8 will toggle through. And those might actually be default, I'm not sure. So F5, F6, F7. I would recommend setting it up like this because now you want to move this vertex in the x-axis. You just do that, lock it, then you can snap wherever the heck you want and move it from there. See that? That's a lot nicer way to move things. But if you're more comfortable with the gizmos, go ahead and use that. Okay, now we need to put some windows in these doors. So let me show you kind of, I don't know, one way to do this. There's always lots of ways to do things in 3D. The way I'm going to do this is select these three segments here in the wall and then hold down Shift and drag them over like that, and then go into vertex subobject mode, select the vertices, lock them. I turned off snap by hitting S because I don't need snap here. Hit F6 to lock in the Y axis and move them up just like that. Okay, then we can use the connect tool. Shift N is my hotkey for that, but it's right here, connect. There you go. Now we know that these are on the same plane. Everything's going to be clean because we created it from this door here, which was already working. So let's make sure all these vertices are corners. Just make them a little cleaner. Now we know that this line is at the same height as that door too, because we copied it directly over on the x-axis only, so we know it's in the right place. So we just need to size this how we want it in this direction. We can go into the spline mode and move this, say, to here, and I'm designing a little bit as I go here. This is just a concept house that I have in my head. So that'll work just fine, just like that. Now you'll see that we're going to have a nice clean object with window openings there. And we can create the windows just like we did the doors. Let me show you another way to do that that's different than what we did with the doors. If you Control V while the wall is selected and we want to copy it, let's delete the extrude modifier, and we're also going to go into the subobject of the line and delete this outside line there. And that will leave us with those two window openings, an exact outline of those two window openings. So now we can take those and convert those to, well, let's do this one as splines. I'll show you how to do it as splines so you understand the difference from, so the door we did with edit poly modeling, these ones we're going to do as splines. So okay, let's leave it just like that. Let's move these. So these windows are going to be inset. So we have these splines. Let's put them right there. Now we can, in spline mode, or in spline subobject mode, we can now outline them. Just like that. Well, let's make it a little nicer. Add a little more profile there. Now you can extrude. You can extrude that backwards like that. And then let's copy it again. Of course, it's doing it to both sides at the same time. Copy it again, get rid of the extrude, delete the outer line, which is already selected on both windows, delete that, and then hit Control A to select all the splines that are remaining, and outline it again, maybe about that much, then extrude it a little bit, move it backwards in the y-axis, and the extrusion is too much. Okay, now copy again, delete the extrude, go into spline subobject mode, delete the outside splines, and you're left with just the glass plane, which you can either extrude to give thickness to your glass, but in this case we can probably just add a normal modifier to it, and there you go. Now the reason I don't like this as much as the polygon is A, because it took me longer, you saw, and also if I want to edit the size of this window or something, I have to do all three of these objects. They're all separate. With the door here, you just select all the vertices you want and you can make it thinner. It's going to do that for all three doors. Okay, so I've learned it both ways. I think that the polygon way is better. For these walls, I like doing it with just splines and extruding them. But for things like doors and windows, I like doing the polygons. But it's best to show you both ways so that you can make that decision for yourself and decide which one's the fastest, easiest, most efficient for each separate object that you're modeling. Okay, so you got to consider that as you're going along.